Okay, everybody, today is September 2nd, 2024. This is the series where I go over to r/games to keep you and me updated on everything going on in the world of video games. Let's see what we got today. It is the final day of PAX. Perhaps because it's the last day today, we're going to get a big influx of news. We'll see what we have here. All right, the first headline. Shinji Mikami slams video game censorship in Japan. The rules are made by people who don't play video games. Okay, Shinji Mikami, Resident Evil creator. Haven't heard much about this topic before. Let's see what the article says. Article out of Automaton Media, written by Variety Townsend. Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami recently spoke out about game censorship in Japan, namely his dissatisfaction with Japan's strict video game rating system and how it can even cause games to be completely banned in the region, such as Dead Space and the Callisto Protocol. Yeah, I really don't know much about this topic. Let me read this article and I'll give you a summary. One of the big things I'm getting from this is that there's just a lot of inconsistencies about games that need to be rated, games that don't need to be rated. There's also two different organizations that rate games. There's the Computer Entertainment Rating Organization Board, and then there's also downloadable titles that could be rated by IARC instead. I'm not sure what that stands for. They don't have it here. But then also it talks about PC releases on Steam that don't need to go through CERO, C-E-R-O. So that's strange because they're basically cutting games for consoles differently than they are for games that are being released on Steam. The main things like Dead Space got banned because historically CERO has been particularly tough on gory depictions of severed body parts. However, they also call for censorship or removal of sexual content from games to qualify for their 18+ rating. So examples include removal of sex scenes from the Japanese release of The Witcher 3 and Baldur's Gate, which had a really funny way of censoring genitalia in the game, which if we go to this article written by Amber V, we see some pictures here of little leaves covering the naughty bits. This is coming up because of Mikami releasing a remastered version of their game, Shadows of the Damned. So they were doing an interview for that game, and this topic of censorship came up. Next headline, Rocksteady hit by layoffs after Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League underperforms. Okay, didn't this game come out a while ago? Okay, yeah, so initial release was January 30th, 2024. It looks like it also came out on Steam on February 2nd. So a few months later now. This article is from Eurogamer, written by Tom Phillips, editor-in-chief. Rocksteady staff have told Eurogamer of redundancies at the studio following the underperformance of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The company's QA department has seen its size almost cut in half over the past month, Eurogamer understands, from 33 team members to 15, with poor sales of Suicide Squad directly cited as the reason for its restructuring. The job losses extend outside of QA2. One staff member posting publicly on social media over the weekend revealed they had been told they were being made redundant in the middle of their paternity leave. Oh my gosh. We've been dealing with a lot of layoffs in the video game industry lately. It's so ridiculous that a game not doing well results in the people who made the game being punished, when most of the time games underperforming has nothing to do with those people. Like the QA people, their whole job is literally just making sure bugs aren't in the game. Why are they the ones being punished for a game underperforming when it was probably decisions made by the higher ups, the people in charge who decided games had to have certain features or the story had to be a certain way? Man, this game came out so long ago, I don't even remember. Like, was it supposed to be a games as a service? Like, was it supposed to be a service game? Was it supposed to be, did it have like a 10-year plan or something? This is an article from Forbes written by Paul Tassi. And if you scroll down here, this bullet point, the live service looter shooter Angle was reportedly not forced by management, but was Rocksteady's leadership who made the decision to pursue the game instead of alternatives. Interesting. So this is Warner Brothers being like, hey, bad sales wasn't our fault. Rocksteady decides to make this game a live service game when it probably should have just been like, a story game, even if, single player, multiplayer, whatever. But if it was just like a story focused game, it could have done better. If I'm remembering, it was all so long ago. But if I'm remembering correctly, one of the main things people were mad about was the fact that it was this live service model was basically stitched on top of what should have just been a story action game. It definitely feels like Rocksteady leadership punishing the people who shouldn't have been punished for their decisions, which, should I be surprised? That seems to be most of the layoffs going on right now in the world of video games. Next up on the list here, failing manufacturers are pushing the narrative that consoles are dying, says Xbox exec. Oh my gosh, that is a tongue twister there. Says Xbox exec. Xbox exec. This is an article from Push Square written by Sammy Barker. There's a strong sentiment among gaming enthusiasts and the industry at large that consoles are a failing product and nearing the death nails. This opinion has been pushed broadly on social media and across specialist websites, despite it never really aligning with reality. It's true that profit margins have slimmed as costs have increased and sales have been turbulent through testing circumstances, but both the PS5 and Nintendo Switch continue to sell incredibly well. Mike Ybarra, a former high-profile Xbox executive and Blizzard boss, believes those losing push the narrative that fits for them. Writing on X or Twitter, he said, "Consoles will never die in my opinion. If your strategy is to win the living room, you need exclusive hits because winning is both a platform and game's perspective. Sony knows how to make hits and how to pick the hits from others to be exclusive. If I was them, I would double down right now because the blood in the water is all over the place." Console sales are all based on what games people can play on those consoles. Xbox sales, I believe, haven't been doing so well because so many of those games can be played on PC. Not to mention, Games Pass is one of the biggest selling points of Xbox, and you can get Games Pass on PC as well. So the Switch and PlayStation 5 have been doing so well because those consoles focus on the games specifically for those consoles. Not to mention, I feel like Switch also sells super well because if you make a product that's unique, that has good games, that gives consumers a reason to buy it, then they're going to buy it. But this is interesting, bringing in the fact that people who are losing in the market are the ones kind of pushing that narrative. Next up, 1 year later, Larian reflects on Baldur's Gate 3's success, future plans, and canceling DLC. Ever since, we've felt better. This is an article from IGN written by Charles Hart. Now the game is celebrating its 1 year anniversary. Its 7th major patch, which will add official modding support. Oh, that's cool. And new endings to the game is right around the corner, and developer Larian Studios launched a brand new YouTube channel to provide behind-the-scenes looks at the game and its developers. So this article is just a cool history of how Larian got the job to make Baldur's Gate 3, what it took to make the game, and it looks like, the DLC being canceled isn't new news. They talked about in March how they were breaking their partnership with Wizards of the Coast, so they won't be making a sequel or any DLC. Nintendo can now ban streamers and content creators from using their games if they are caught posting immoral content and leaks. This article comes from Automaton Media, written by Amber V. Nintendo posted an updated version of their game content guidelines for online video and image sharing platforms on September 2nd, strengthening their terms significantly. The update adds one new clause and edits two supplementary explanations that users must comply with when sharing and or monetizing Nintendo-related content online. The biggest change to Nintendo guidelines is the following new clause. We reserve the right to object to any content that we believe is unlawful, infringing, inappropriate, or not in line with these guidelines. We reserve the right to no longer allow the use of Nintendo game content in case of such violations. The Japanese version of this clause is worded somewhat more explicitly, with right to object being phrased as right to take legal action. In addition, the Japanese version makes a point of warning users against posts that violate public order and morals, which some people think could be Nintendo's direct response to a recently deleted Splatoon 3 video that encouraged players to seek sexual encounters through the game. All right, I'm gonna look at this article. I'm probably gonna look at this article on my own, but this type of wording, I mean, we reserve the right to object to any content that we believe is unlawful, infringing, inappropriate, or not in line with these guidelines. We believe, like, verbiage like that is so broad that they can just decide that they don't like something and then ban that person or delete the content or whatever it is. Nintendo has proven in the past that they are willing to enforce these rules however they see fit. So it is a little worrying to me when they put in something like this where it's just like the verbiage is so broad. Now I understand them wanting to protect themselves when you have something like this going on. This scares me when they're putting in words like this into their guidelines. All right, next headline here. Helldivers 2 and Dead Island 2 support studio Toadman Interactive confirms layoffs. The layoffs are expected to impact around 100 full-time and contract employees. Let me just see if I can skim this article here from GameDeveloper.com, written by Chris Kerr, and see if I can figure out why the layoffs are happening. All right, well, I shouldn't be surprised, but the quotes here where they're just basically saying that they're going through a tough period. They're going through cost-saving measures. Yeah, cost savings measures. But to save money, they're shuttering studios. They're closing down 3 offices in Stockholm, Visby, and Oslo, as well as they keep all these layoffs. They're using words like redundancies. They're also letting some people go in their Berlin studio while closing the other 3 studios. So more of the same cost-cutting measures. Next up on the list here, will Sony backtrack further on PlayStation's live service plans? This is an opinion piece from Forbes written by Paul Tassi. I'm not going to go further in depth on the specific article here just because it is an opinion piece, but lots of interesting things happening with PlayStation's live service games. Concord was not received very well, did not sell very well. My opinion is if they really want to release live service games, they need to find their own unique style of live service game. Helldivers 2 is a great example, I feel, where that game is doing something really unique. Concord, there's a ton of other hero shooters out there already, and people are already starting to get bored with those games. I mean, Overwatch 2 is a great example of a game that people are still playing, but no one really talks about Overwatch 2. No one gets excited about any of the updates with Overwatch 2, except for the people that are playing it. People who are excited about hero shooters are already have a game that they're playing, and they're not really looking for a brand new hero shooter game. This next one is Eurogamer turns 25. That's cool. I mean, I was noticing on all these Eurogamer articles that the logo up here in the corner had the 25. I didn't really pay it too much attention. But that's cool. Congratulations to Eurogamer. It's good to see outlets in the video game journalism world lasting a long time, still existing, still doing good work in journalism. Agent 47 has had the same actor for 25 years, and he says he's a very, very close friend of Hitman. Well, congratulations to David Bateson. 25 years playing the same character. That's really incredible. Congratulations to him. This looks like we got a trailer. Yeah, first trailer. Atelier Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Land. Let's give this a watch.
Peggy 12.
Doesn't seem to like this is going to be gameplay. This is more of like a story trailer, maybe. Okay, here's some gameplay. Yeah, we got ourselves a JRPG. We definitely got ourselves a JRPG. Look at all this stuff. There's so many games like this, in my opinion, that it's hard for me every time I see a new one to really get excited about it. But again, there's a huge audience for people into JRPGs and games like this. So, all right, after scrolling down a bit, we got Astrobot director rules out VR version, says he wants to hear from fans about a PC port. What this says to me is they're like, we want to see how popular the game is first. We want to see how well it does on PlayStation first. And then if it's popular enough, they'll look into a PC port. Starting to see things from yesterday. So I think we have reached the end of all the new headlines here on r/games. If you are like me and want to stay up to date on everything going on in the world of video games, please subscribe to my channel. Click the bell to be notified when I upload a new video. I'm BTayOkay. This was September 2nd, 2024 on r/games. See you tomorrow.